Well, I was extremely satisfied at that because it was so hard to believe myself. My daughter was standing there. I had gone out to pick her up, as a matter of fact, and I think, she was 9 then. She said, she broke the silence. She said, "Well, Mom, maybe they had an oil leak." I don't know. I think their technology is beyond oil. But it was some kind of a sticky substance. It was totally coating the car. It was unidentifiable to all of us. To this day, I deeply regret that the person I borrowed the car from, everybody said, "Be sure to get a sample of that before you wash the car." Well, we never got that sample, and he moved out of state. And I don't know what happened to that substance. Although somebody sent me an article from Los Angeles about a car that was routinely pelted with sticky stuff, and they took time-lapse photography on it, and they saw shadowy beings that looked like astronauts around it, for whatever that's worth. We broke up standing around the car, kind of like I said, my daughter's comment changed our consciousness, and we just shook our heads, and we went inside the center and decided to have a group meditation. And the woman I spoke of a moment ago actually began speaking in an unknown language. She did that for a very brief time, and then finally she said, "It's time, Connie Cook. It's time to trust our love and your power." Well, that felt true. That felt wonderful. Their love and my power. The power of sharing. The power of beginning to play the music for people even though I felt incompetent and untrained. The power of risking that. The power of representing this peculiar point of view. I'm so glad that I did, and have, and am. Pertaining to that, let me skip ahead in time a little bit. There's some more experiences that you might want to know about, but one of the main reasons I'm so glad that I shared this story was finally when I was quite convinced this was all real and good. I called a public meeting, and I put publicity in the newspaper that I was going to do a little seminar on the wonderful reality of the UFOs, and this was July of '87. And one of the 13 people that came to that first seminar is my now dear husband, Mark Smith. You will hear him accompany me with some of the music. I'm going to share 3 songs with you on this tape. They're non-studio recorded, but I'm going to risk that in the hopes that the vibratory level of the music will affect you anyway. So, because I risked following this unusual path, I found the love of my life, and he is a professional musician who not only enhances my life, but enhances the music and brings out the drama and power of it for anybody who wants to listen to it. So he's serving so beautifully in this way. And I think the point of this that I'd like to make is that if you who are listening feel odd or weird in your interests, nevertheless, if it excites you, do pursue it, because it puts you in the place where you receive the support that you need. That's what happened with me, and I'm sure that's a universal principle that can help you too. Meanwhile, back at the end of May 1987, I must share this with you. It was a family gathering on Memorial Day. We were at a park, kind of a wilderness park outside of Canton, Illinois, which is my hometown and where I happily reside now. There used to be an old estate on top of this hill that has been torn down, and now it's a public park. And prior to that, I kind of suspect this location was an Indian mound. So it feels sacred. And a group of us were at this place on Memorial Day, and suddenly my daughter and niece came running over to the adults and said, "There's a snake over there. There's this huge snake over there." And so we all went running over, kind of trepidatiously to see this creature. And sure enough, laying there very sluggish in the sun was this, I guess, 5-foot-long king snake. I mean, at the time, I didn't have any idea what kind of snake that was. It was just one of those things we're all scared of, And, but the fact that it was motionless made it less threatening. And yet, I looked into the snake's eyes, and something transformed me. You see, I had been feeling, since the UFO contacts, a oneness behind all of life. I had been feeling this one loving impulse that's behind all of creation. And that, again, is the basic essence of every single being. And suddenly I saw it in the snake's eyes. And to my own astonishment, I reached out my hand to the snake and I petted it. And then, to my astonishment, my daughter did the same thing. Well, the snake began moving, slithering off, and we began trotting beside it and petting it some more. Well, apparently the snake had not been having the cosmic experiences that I had, because even though I was reaching out to it in love, it did not interpret this as love. The snake suddenly coiled and hissed for all it was worth. I'll never forget it. Standing there, swaying and hissing, and the air shaking about us, and all the terror and fear and fury that was emanating from that being. And I remember tears rising to my eyes. I was so frustrated. I was appalled that my touch had been so drastically misinterpreted. All I was doing was reaching out in love. But the snake's reflexes and conditioning did not interpret the touch as love. The snake interpreted the contact as violation. And suddenly I saw a very big picture there, that the ETs are reaching out to us in love. But with our reflexes and our conditioning and our fear, we hiss. We coil and hiss. And what they extend as love, we perceive sometimes as a violation. That's not to say that there aren't extraterrestrials that do not have our highest well-being in mind. There's good guys and bad guys on every level of reality. But whom we encounter depends upon our own state of consciousness, what our intention is. I've heard it said that if your own intentions are so good, the bad guys can't even find you. So generally speaking, and always in my experience, the reach out is from a teacher with love. And we simply need to clear and learn how to trust and respond to that love. I remember we stood there around the snake and talked soothingly to it and apologized for violating its integrity. But I didn't forget that lesson. And I must tell you, the lesson became highly relevant the next day. It was June 1st of 1987. I was standing in my bathroom, brushing my teeth, when suddenly a pink gold light pervaded the bathroom, and Haneen beamed through the shower curtain. I'm so glad we have shows like Star Trek and those kinds of things where you have a frame of reference for the possibility of this kind of thing. Otherwise, it blows your circuits entirely. And the startling thing about her was she did not look blonde-haired and blue-eyed anymore. Instead, she was about 4'9". She had silvery eyes. She was completely hairless. She had creamy yellow skin, rather luminous. She had some sort of a silver thing on her chest, like a breastplate perhaps, an upside-down triangle. I couldn't tell where her body left off and her clothing began. And that's partly because I'm not a very good physical witness. I'm not a good observer of detail. I observe how things feel more than how they look. And she felt wonderful. The reason I knew it was her was because the feeling preceded her appearance, this pink and gold light, although I don't recall that occurring before. Nevertheless, the feeling was a glow like that, and the humor was enormous. And there I am, I think she picked this mundane moment. I mean, it just, doesn't get any more mundane than being in the bathroom. I think she picked this mundane moment to enter my life to make it acceptable to me. And I remember my own face in the bathroom mirror, a mouthful of foam, and my eyes were huge. And I was responding to her presence. That photograph is in my mind forever. And all there was no particular message other than, this is what I really look like. It's wonderful that you were able to transcend the human hang-up on form and get to the essence of another fellow creature. And so now I can show you what I really look like. Oh, it was beautiful. And I just can't convey adequately the humor that was with it, the good-natured humor. And then the light left, she left, and I'm just, standing there all drooly. And I thought it was wonderful the way she appeared like that. And I felt like I earned that experience by overcoming my fear of the snake the day before. Haneen has gone back to Elora now, and she's proven to me, though, that time and space are an illusion because we do connect thoughts from time to time. However, she does not dominate my thoughts nor dominate my life. Periods of time pass when I don't think of her at all. And that's the whole point. These teachers are here to empower us to come into our own authority, to trust ourselves, and to trust and find our own goodness. And if no other point has reached you other than that one, I'll be happy that I've shared something meaningful with you. Do believe in and find and trust, and go forward in your own glorious goodness.